Hello, everybody. It is good to see you, good to be with you again. I'm going to read a story to you today from the Jesus Storybook Bible. It's titled The Teeny Weeny True King. God's people had a new land. Now they wanted a king. But God is your king, Samuel told them. He is the one who looks after you best. We want a real king, they said, one we can see. God knew that a king might not be kind to his people or look after them as well as he. But God's people didn't care. They wanted a king, and they wanted him now. So God gave them a king. He was called Saul, and he seemed like a good king at first. But he became proud and stopped listening to God. He didn't obey God or love God with his whole heart. Saul can't help me with my plan, God said. I need a king who loves me and will teach my people to love me. I need a true king. God had just the one in mind. Go to Bethlehem, God told Samuel. You'll find the new king there. Samuel's job was to listen to God and tell people what God said. So Samuel went to the little town of Bethlehem. God told Samuel to go to Jesse's house. God was going to choose one of Jesse's sons to be the new king. Jesse had 7 strong sons. Now, in those days, if you were going to be the king, you didn't have to be the richest or the cleverest, although that was always nice. You had to look like a king, which meant you had to be the tallest and the strongest, so you could carry the longest swords and biggest armor and defeat everyone. And it didn't hurt to be handsome either. Samuel asked Jesse to bring him each son in turn. So Jesse brought the oldest, tallest, strongest son. This must be the new king, Samuel thought. He looks like a king. But God didn't choose him. You're thinking about what he looks like on the outside, God told Samuel. But I am looking at his heart, what he's like on the inside. So Jesse showed Samuel his next oldest, tallest, strongest son. But God didn't choose him either. In fact, God didn't choose any of the 7 sons. Samuel said, "Is that all?" Jesse laughed. "Oh, well, there's the youngest one, but he's just the weakling of the family. He's only teeny." "Bring him," said Samuel. Jesse's youngest son came running up, and God spoke quietly to Samuel. This is the one. His name was David. He has a heart like mine, God said. It is full of love. He will help me with my secret rescue plan. And one of his children's children will be the king, and that king will rule the world forever. Samuel anointed David's head with oil, which was a special way to show you that you are God's chosen king. You will be the new king one day, Samuel told him. And sure enough, when he grew up, David became king. God chose David to be king because God was getting his people ready for an even greater event, a greater king who was coming. Once again, God would say, "Go to Bethlehem. You'll find the new king there." And there, one starry night in Bethlehem, in the town of David, 3 wise men would find him. The book I'd like to share with you tonight is called Amazing Grace. And it's written by Mary Hoffman and Caroline Binch. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her or told to her or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were from books or on TV or in films or on the video or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. And after she had heard them, or sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act them out, and she always gave herself the most exciting part. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc and wove a spiderweb as Anansi the Spider-Man. She hid inside the wooden horse at the gates of Troy. She crossed the Alps with Hannibal and 100 elephants. She sailed the 7 seas with a peg leg and a parrot. She was Hiawatha sitting by the shining big sea water, and Mowgli in the back garden jungle. But most of all, Grace loved to act pantomimes. She liked to be Dick Whittington turning to hear the bells of London town, or Aladdin rubbing the magic lamp. The best characters in pantomimes were boys, but Grace played them anyway. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She was a cast of thousands. Pawpaw the cat usually helped out. And sometimes she could persuade Mom and Nana to join in when they weren't too busy. Then she was Dr. Grace, and their lives were in her hands. One day at school, her teacher said they were going to do the play Peter Pan. Grace put up her hand to be Peter Pan. You can't be called Peter, said Raj. That's a boy's name. But Grace kept her hand up. You can't be Peter Pan, whispered Natalie. He wasn't black. But Grace kept her hand up. All right, said the teacher. Lots of you want to be Peter Pan, so we'll have to have auditions. We'll choose the parts next Monday. When Grace got home, she seemed rather sad. What's the matter? Asked Ma. Raj said I couldn't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl. That just shows all Raj knows about, said Ma. Peter Pan is always a girl. Grace cheered up. Then later she remembered something else. Natalie says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black, she said. Ma started to get angry, but Nana stopped her. It seems that Natalie is another one who doesn't know anything. You can be anything you want, Grace, if you put your mind to it. Next day was Saturday, and Nana told Grace they were going out. In the afternoon, they caught a bus and a train into town. Nana took Grace to a grand theater. Outside it said Rosalie Wilkins in Romeo and Juliet in beautiful sparkling lights. Are we going to the ballet, Nana? Asked Grace. We are, honey, but I want you to look at these pictures first. Nana showed Grace some photographs of a beautiful young dancer in a tutu. Stunning new Juliet, it said on one of them. That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad, said Nana. Her granny and I, we grew up together on the island. She's always asking me if I want tickets to see her little girl dance. So this time, I said yes. After the ballet, Grace played the part of Juliet, dancing around her room in her imaginary tutu. I can be anything I want, she thought. I can even be Peter Pan. On Monday, they had the auditions. Their teacher let the class vote on the parts. Raj was chosen to play Captain Hook. Natalie was going to be Wendy. Then they had to choose Peter Pan. Grace knew exactly what to do and all the words to say. It was a part she had often played at home. All the children voted for her. You were great, said Natalie. The play was a great success, and Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. After it was all over, she said, I feel as if I could fly all the way home. You probably could, said Mom. Yes, said Nana. If Grace put her mind to it, she can do anything she wants. Well, just like no one thought that David would be chosen as king because he didn't look the part. The same that Grace experienced when she wanted to play Peter Pan. She didn't look the part. But God created us to do amazing things, and God calls us to do amazing things, even things that sometimes scare us, that we don't think we can do. But with God's help, we can do them. Go to sleep in peace. God is awake. Good night.